I don't know your apa tuh, your short form. All of the millennial like to use short form, right? So for the old lady like us, the 90s, the 80s person, we are not really familiar with um, short form. The old, I think what the only short form that I have learned so far from all of you, from my student, is BRB, be right back. LOL, I know lah. Okay, so kesian you all. Kesian me also lah because we doing class um, on public holiday. Oh, ya kah? No lah, because I don't have friends bah, to talk about that all of this short form. So even though if I learn, go Google, but I will usually will not implement it lah. Okay, so only with my students lah maybe. Ah, okay, so better than need class on weekend. Itulah actually because I know that weekend is the 2 days weekend. Usually all of us will do have some activity plan for us for with your family lah because it is 2 days, right? So that's why I'm also, if possible, I don't want to do class on weekend. Okay, so actually I have assigned for the first session we will try to discuss our tutorial 10 about the real time design. So I that so this is the list. You all try to answer first. I will give about 10 minutes. And then after that, for the next session, for the practical session, we will continue the chapter software evolution. And then next week we will cover the two last chapter lah. How about your place, ah? Because a lot of places is memang chaos kan because of yesterday flooding, banjir kilat, tanah runtuh. I hope that all of you are okay lah. Those stimuli response questions is answered at something like this. Yeah, yeah. When it is asking about one set or two set, it must have stimuli and it must have a response. Yeah. But do it like this lah. Oh, wait ah. Yeah. I cannot. Okay, so the unidentified icon in the middle too, it is like the error too. When you answer in the exam letter lah. Yes, the error icon. Our Google Meet don't have that icon. So that's why it is unidentified icon. So we will start discussing on yes, on 9:20 lah, because I know maybe some of you haven't answered it yet. So try based on the name I gave. This is popular question actually. So that's why I tidak dapat tidak I want to discuss with all of you also. Because later when you found these questions in the exam, you don't have idea how to answer it. So it will be not good lah. Okay, so 10 minutes It's 9:20. About 11 minutes lah. Okay, so I think we should start already. So Kelvin, can you please open your mic and try
Ah,
to answer?
my question very hard one. Try.
Oh, yeah. I'll try first lah.
I don't know, just
It is asking about real system design process. So we have six actually. It
do
is
I need
just
to
how.
give do I need to give the example of things, or I just say the step for me?
Yeah, actually, you may need to relate it to the scenario lah. No,
Then
no need example, but need to relate it. Okay, so yeah, please read it.
uh, the first one, the first step is to identify the stimuli, the system or process, and associate the response. The first one,
Mm-hmm.
hey, do I have to present? No need.
No need lah. But it is enough to tell what is the stimuli and the example of stimuli and the example of the response. But I think you have already give in the second uh, process, right?
I
Ah,
I haven't done all the examples. I only did until the third one because the other one don't only done until the third one for the example.
mm, mm. Okay, just proceed lah with whatever you have.
The first one, identify the stimuli in system or process associate the response. The example is the systems. The stimuli is the archive alarm. The response is to remove the access to watch the TV program because it says that after for only archive for 1 month, so they can only watch 1 month in the question.
Oh,
For the
okay.
and then second step is the for each stimuli associate the response, identify the timing constraint which apply to both stimuli response process. So the response stimuli response for the archive alarm is archive alarm, and then the timing requirement is the user will lose access to the three to watch the three local TV program after 1 month. The timing that's the timing constraint.
Okay.
Next one is the aggregate the stimulus and response processing into a number of concurrent processes. This one I just follow the like I just say archive alarm and then
Yeah.
archive alarm process.
Yeah. Okay, so continue.
Yeah, and then the next one I got the steps, but I don't have example for the 4, 5, 6 the steps. And then the next one is
Yeah.
this is a design algorithm to carry out the required computation. I don't want I don't have.
Okay. So and then the sixth one is biasalah like whatever in the slide, right?
And the fifth one is the design scheduling system which ensure process started in time to meet the deadline. This one is just
Mm,
automatic. I haven't write but it's right like the time is like every few seconds you just check if the customer still have how many times left, and then
mm,
if it's still got 1 month, and then if it's still 1 month, he can still watch it over 1 month. They cannot watch anymore like that. The action.
mm. Okay, yes. Okay, good.
And then the sixth one integrate the system under control of real time operating system. Like when this one I don't understand. The sixth one just say integrate under the control of real time operating system. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, actually, if you see here, even the suggested answer also only the general explanation of each of the stages or process inside the that we have in our slide. So, yeah, I think I don't need to show the suggested answer lah, right? Okay, so what you did is actually good already because actually we don't know the process, we don't really know the process of this television program lah, how the process. So it is that's why we cannot go into deep, like you said lah, you don't know what happened right inside. So even me, if you ask, if even me also, I honestly don't know, but it is good lah for you to try like this, huh? Okay, so actually, I am not sure if this type of questions is really will be asked during the exam, but I can see that. And then, as you all can see from our tutorial questions, the one that is really popular is to identify the stimuli and what is the responses. Okay, so but Kelvin, I think it is a good try because yeah, you try to think what happening inside during the process, the stages. Okay, so yeah, if you answer like this, I will from if I am the examiner, maybe I can give you 80% from the allocated marks lah, 80 or 90%. Okay, so that is based on because you have tried to link it to the case. Okay, so Shak said archive for 1 month, allow user to log in and watch 3 local television channels program. Ah, okay, so this is your questions 1B. You are not sure. Okay, so okay, let me check first, huh?
The B just want to know the stimuli response.
Pardon? You have B.
Oh no, the B is just they want the stimuli response only. But question one, or but A already asked it. But A already answered it. It was same one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, already because or you already give the example, right, for the stage one, step one. Okay, but let me check. Let me check and then compare it with the um, suggested answer. So your answer is shock answer is actually archive for 1 month, allow user to log in and watch 3 local television channel program. Okay, so actually this is the suggested answer lah. Let me show you all lah. Okay, so you all can see this is suggested answer. The stimuli when there are interruption from advertisement, and then the response will make the stop. The TV program will stop, and then it will show the advertisement. Do you all agree
Oh, the
with
first one
this?
don't need the example. The first one just the step for the lecture note only.
Um, Actually, like I said, Kelvin, usually the suggested answer or marking scheme from the examiner, usually it will be too general.
Oh,
So it is all actually based on the questions also, like if it asks you to explain, then you cannot just specify this like like what is the suggested answer lah. Usually this suggested answer only will be used by the marker to compare your answer with the because this suggested answer usually from the slide. So this is to compare either you are just following the slide or not. Okay, so
Okay.
don't follow this. Actually, this is especially the question is explained, right? So you all know, right? This is open book. So that's why we cannot just give marks for something that already in our slide lah.
Oh, okay.
S-
Oh, the answer need error need to write error with need the error.
Need the error. Yeah, yeah. Actually, this one lah. That's why lah. Even our Google Meet, right? We don't have this icon.
I
But
see.
ngam lah, like Elvin said.
I thought it was I just put an X there. Can I?
Like Elvin use lah. Use the dash and then the apa. Can boleh boleh lah already.
Exam use the dash and then the arrow. Okay.
Yeah, I think we all better use this lah. This what? This syntax.
Okay.
Oh, the contrary. How do you get that, Russell? Where did you Unicode?
Oh, Unicode.
Oh,
I see.
so hard. Oh. You need to go to Unicode website, right? It's okay. I can also receive what Alvin is. Okay, so you all agree ka for this stimuli and response? I think I agree, but when you read the
There's
questions,
no advertisement in the question.
yeah, but it's hard to assume, right? Yeah, because there's no advertisement.
They didn't say advertisement. Now I don't know why they got.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
But will it acceptable since even though it didn't say in the question the advertisement.
Yeah, actually it is acceptable, like you said lah, acceptable because it is something like we can see every day and then we can think lah actually logically, because we know that when there are advertisement of course there are interrupt happening. Okay, so we can say that the advertisement is the stimuli and then the response, yes, it will stop the program lah. Or any type questions. Yeah. Yeah, I think all of you we see the pattern of the suggested answer after this lah, because I think we cannot really rely on the just the case study or whatever word inside that questions. We can think outside of the box. Like for this one, even though the questions, the answer, suggested answer, actually for the advertisement, like Kelvin said lah, it didn't uh, even mention in this apa in these questions, but we still can think out of the box lah. Okay, so we see another case lah. Okay, so we proceed to the questions number 2. Questions number 2 is Elvin. Yes, Elvin. So let's see as Elvin answer. Stimuli, user choose one channel. Response, server send the channel data through internet. Okay. Let's see the questions together. Yeah, I think Noel, yes. Is the stimuli and response answer can be flexible. Yeah, you don't need to really strict or tie to the questions. As long as we can think that in the case study that stimuli and response can happen. Oh, okay, not that. Stimuli user make invite to their friends. Respond system send invitation to user friends through social media. I think it should Elvin lah. Elvin, can you please Open your mic.
Hello.
Hmm?
The question two.
Yeah, questions too.
So the first one is the user make the use the game function like make the invite to their friend and then the system will send the invite through the social media.
Okay. Okay, the second set.
Second is because the game mention has the what are the group with compete then so the user if you want to join the group the user request to join a group and then the system will send the join request to the group.
Hmm. Okay. Wait. Okay, so you join the software house that is specialized in developing game. The colleague has resigned, and then you are assigned to take over the resigned colleague ongoing project, which is develop online shooting game. So the online gamer can choose to join any group to compete with another group offline. So the online game also allows gamers to invite their friends through social media. Okay, so you have here user make invitation, and then you have three, right? You have provided three, right, Alvin?
Not the last one is just the I show the I correct it to the correct format
Oh,
of the arrow things.
oh yeah. Okay. So I think can be accepted your answer, but we see the suggested answer.
Oh,
Okay, so I think all of you are answering, and then you are tied. Your mind is tied to the test case or the scenario, right? Yes, because we are using whatever information that we have in that scenario. But actually, the stimuli and the response is just um it is the out of the box. It is not inside the test case. Okay, so I think for example this game, because it is a shooting game, you can just think, imagine the process while you are doing while you are using the game. Okay, but the question is from the view of developer, but actually this answer is after the software is already developed, meaning what happened, what is the stimuli and response in that games, not um yeah, actually, if I am the examiner, I can accept your answer lah also, Elvin. Okay, so if me,
okay.
I think I will give you maybe full marks lah, but this is the suggested answer that you all can think of lah. Okay, so like Noel said, you can think whatever the outside the box lah, meaning it is flexible lah. So you can answer as long as it is makes sense. Okay, so don't really just tie your imagination on whatever the words, to use the words from the test case or scenario. Okay, so we proceed to questions number three. Questions number three. Okay, Jonathan. Okay, questions number three. I forgot. I check first. Oh, the person. Ah, Daniel. Is Daniel here? Better I check first. Is Daniel here? Seems like Daniel is not here. So I think we can discuss this lah without waiting or giving to another person. Okay, so the scenario is iRobot is an automated vacuum cleaner that can automatically clean the floor at the preset time. So the real-time vacuum cleaner use high efficiency cleaning pattern algorithm and full suite of sensor to map and adapt to real-world clutter and furniture for thorough coverage of a home. Okay, so compose and explain two set of stimuli and associated response for the iRobot system. So I think for me, if I get this answer, maybe I just imagine that product already lah. That the s- the bulat-bulat punya the round shape of that robot, and then it will response to the sensor whenever it hit some hard object. Then it will go to another way lah to clean the house. So maybe for me lah, if I answer this, I will assume that there's a sensor which is the sensor for the hard object lah, maybe. And then after that, the response, the robot will go to different way. Okay, so let's check the suggested answer. So here it says that the stimuli may be the obstacles. Okay, so maybe chair table at home. So like my assumptions lah, like it is like a sensor to a hard object, like I said just now. And then the response will maybe it is stop moving or it will change direction. So my answer just now is maybe it will go to the other direction, so can be accepted lah. So if I am the examiner, I will give full mark to my answer for the first set lah. For the second set is maybe like the suggested answer here. The stimuli will preset time for cleaning is triggered, and then the response, it will start cleaning the house for 30 minutes. Okay, so for this, like I said just now, what you need to do is you imagine the product, what the product can do. For example, the questions number 2, it is to develop online game. So, but this scenario that is given here, it is from the perspective of the developer. But the stimuli and the response you think of from the perspective of when the product is already been used or what the product can do. Okay, I think provide by question. Wait, the link provide by question. Oh, this one adapted from this iRobot for home vacuum. Maybe it is lah. I don't know when the CC assess this. Oh, you mean then the questions number 4 or number 3? Number 3 lah, I think, right? Because number 4 didn't provide link. Okay, so from the scenario 1 to 3, we can conclude that you don't imagine you should imagine the product, what it can do, even though the questions is maybe the process of developing the product. But your answer must imagine the product is already been used and then what the product can do. Okay, so we can see from questions number 2, 1, 2, 3 lah, we can see the pattern, right? Okay, so we proceed to the questions number 4. Number 4 will be Celine. Celine, are you here? Okay. So can you please answer questions number 4? Okay. So can you please open your mic?
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
So the first stimuli would be like when it is night, then the response would they would turn off the light. Then
Mm-hmm.
the second one is the stimuli is when it is morning. Response is turn off lights.
Okay, so I, for me, if I'm an examiner, I will accept lah your answer. And then actually, if you see from these questions number 4, there are a lot of set of stimuli and response that you can think of lah. For example, like for Celine, she choose the light, and then for the I think we can also choose from the aircon automated temperature detection. For example, if you choose maybe the stimuli is the heat, or there are a sensor that can detect temperature. So maybe we can set some set of temperature if it is over. I'm not sure. Maybe over 35 Celsius. Okay, so maybe there are some temperature like if the surrounding if the detect if the detector detects that the temperature in our surrounding is maybe over than 35, then the aircon will be automatically switch on. And then if it is below some some temperature, then it can be automatically switch off lah. Okay, so yeah, so we see the suggested answer. Oh, also the suggested answer, it is using the porch light. Porch light. Wait, so this is based on the time lah. It give the time based on the time. So I think it is still can be accepted lah. Celine answer. Okay, guys. So for this, even it is actually a flexible answer lah, like what Noel said. Okay, so this one, but I am not sure why car porch, because in in the questions there are no aircon. Wait, because it is in office, right? But the suggested answer is tiba-tiba for car porch. Car porch, car porch. I'm not sure about car porch, but didn't you all think that this is a sudden question, sudden tiba-tiba saja ada car porch,
Yeah.
kan? So it should be the light. Okay, so this is actually the answer, suggested answer from the CC. But if I am the examiner, I will more to Celine answer rather than this. But I agree that this suggested answer, it is based on maybe some clock lah, or some time. Okay, so because we don't know, because night and morning we are not really oh yeah lah, etc. But this kind of porch, it is really I think don't have connection with the office lah. But yeah, so but for the improvement to the Celine punya answer is maybe Celine can give some time lah, like this one. Maybe when it is 9:30 p.m., then the the light in the office. Okay, so you should specify the light in the office. Okay, Celine, the light in the office maybe switch on, and then after that when it is in the after 9 a.m. so the light in the office is off. Okay, Celine? So we need to give some like it is not really night and morning. It is hard to apa, hard to know what is actually considered because the system is only triggered by something. So we cannot just be so subjective like that lah. Okay, so we proceed to the questions number 5, which is actually who Nyap Hao Wong. Is Nyap Hao Wong here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so questions number 5.
Question number 5. The one periodic stimulus is that the system will send notification of the car's real-time location to the police and the owner every second depending on the vehicle movement.
Okay, yes.
And for the 2 aperiodic stimulus, the system will display the vehicle's fuel usage after the owner requests for it within let's say 5 seconds. Then the other one is the system will display the mileage or the performance analysis after the owner requests also within 5 seconds.
Okay, so yeah, I can from your answer, even though I didn't read it here, but when I listening to it, I think I kind of agree with you because the periodic is based on, you said that it is based on maybe every second, right? So there are time what it is it it detected because we set some time of it to it. For example, every seconds lah. You said just now,
Yeah.
right? And then after that, periodic stimulus, it is the 2 example that you give just now is based on interrupt or request from the owner, right? Okay, so for me, if me, I can accept that. So, but we see the suggested answer. Okay, so like for every 0.5 second is an actual location to vehicle to the database. So your answer just now, what was it? You said, but you said every second, right? I think it is
Yeah,
still
every
can be
second.
accepted. Okay, so every second, what the system can do? Just now, I forgot
Every
already.
second, the system will send notification of the car's real-time location to the police and owner. Every second,
Okay.
depending on the vehicle movement.
Okay. So good. Okay, so for the periodic, vehicle is stolen. Okay, so it is the stimuli and then location for the vehicle is sent to the. So your periodic just now, I forgot already because you didn't put it here, right?
For the periodic, the system will display the performance analysis within 5 seconds after the users, which is the owner, request for it.
Okay, so ngam lah. Okay, so this question didn't ask actually for associated response. Also, it asked associated response, but you didn't give the associated response, right?
Uh,
So you only focus on the stimuli. So the improvement in your answer is please provide the response lah. Okay, so if I am the examiner, I will accept Wong answer. 3 of it. But only maybe kurang sikit the marks because it has no response. Okay, so yeah. Okay, you all can understand lah. The answer is it is not really I mean it is flexible. As long as it is relevant, I can give the marks. Okay, so for questions number 6, is Solomon here? Um, I think Solomon is not here. So for this, we will discuss lah. I will tell lah. Okay, so for questions number 6, the No is an online theater that provide high definition mode movie. So user can watch movie online or download the movie. Okay, so identify two periodic stimulus and two periodic stimulus with associated response. Okay, so the No is online theater that provide high definition mode movie. User can watch movie online or download the movie. So as you all can see, the scenario or the case is very short. We can have our imagination go everywhere and think of whatever stimuli and response that can happen. Okay, so for me, maybe one type of stimuli that can I think is maybe for every 24 hours, a notification will be generated to its user to tell that if there are a new movie lah. So every 24 hours. And then the response is notification will be given to the user. Okay, so for the aperiodic stimulus is maybe the stimulus for the aperiodic, one example that I can think of is a user can request for a newest movie or a popular movie, and then the response is the system will give the list of the list of the movie that is newest that is released within 24 hours. Okay, so anybody of you here want to try, or you want to directly check the suggested answer? Um, okay, so we check lah. Question 6. Okay, so this is the suggested set. A periodic stimulus may be every 0.5 second update total user watching movie online. Okay, so every 1 minute load new advertisement at corner screen. Okay, so a periodic stimulus is play movie button is pressed, and then the timing may be within 0.1 second, and then the response will play the movie. Okay, so stop movie button is pressed, stimuli timing, stop the movie. I think we all can stick to this tapala, to this error. I mean to this syntax. Yeah. So all of you please follow this syntax lah. We want to make it standard, even though if the suggested answer is not like that, but I think it's better if we stick to one standard lah. Okay, so just follow this. We have error, and then the stimuli either it is at the end of the words or sentence or at the first stimuli here. Play stimuli, and then this is also stimuli lah. Okay, so can be accepted. So as you all can see here, you are free to think that imagine the product first. What you can see that can apa tuh, create stimuli and response. Okay, so my answer just now maybe is not really can be accepted because I said that it is for the notification. Okay lah, I think can be accepted because the user can download the movie because if you see here, it is, I think it is just to watch online, but since the movie can be downloaded, so I think it is relevant lah to give the user the notifications every 24 hours if there are new movie listed, so it can give the user notification about that new movie lah. Okay, so as you all can see, the answer is it can be very flexible as long as it is relevant. Okay, so we proceed to the questions number 7, which is Noel. Noel, questions number 7. Okay. Registration. Okay. Yes, okay. Can you please open the mic? Your mic?
So for the first set is if the student press the confirm registration, so the system will save the registration details into the system database.
Okay.
And then for second set is if there is a student that doesn't attend class, so the system will detect the absence and then add one into the absent student count.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third
Okay.
one is and the OTP message to the student mobile phone.
Okay, so I think your answer is correct, but I think you should put some time. Macam for example registration place kan, maybe you can say that within 0.1 second it will be saved into database. Like the suggested answer for this. Okay, so because
every answer also with that one answer.
I think because if you see the definition of real time system, if you all remember, it must be meaning there are some if you all remember the definitions lah, there will be an external stimuli or event or trigger that from outside that will make the system to respond within some time of range of timing, right? So if you all remember the definition, so it is in every of your answer it is important to also specify the time. If you see here, result produced and timing. Okay, so real-time system is a software whose generate correct functioning depends on the result produced and the time at the which result are produced. Meaning, in short, actually, A real-time system is a system that will depends on some trigger or outside event, and it will need to respond within some specified time lah. So the most important thing for real time is the trigger or the stimulus, and then the timing it should respond. Okay, so let's see the suggested answer. But this one also didn't give the timing lah. Okay, so so I can accept lah Noel answer, but it is better if you can put the timing lah. Maybe within the 0.5 second, it can be saved into database. Okay, so it is the improvement for your answer lah, Noel. But I
Okay.
still can accept your answer. Okay,
But
so
the question didn't ask for time constraint.
for the questions number 6, did it ask? Wait, we check first. Question number 6. It didn't ask also lah, but there's a timing inside it.
No, question 6 got the timing constraint.
Got timing constraint kah?
Yeah.
Wait, Oh ya, ada timing constraint here. Here lah, correct lah. Thank you, Kelvin, for pointing that out. Okay, so maybe for the question, if it is asking about timing constraint, then you should put the timing lah. But if it is not, then no need lah. Okay, thank you, Kelvin.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you. Okay, so the suggested answer here is log user click view attendance button, and then it will display the attendance record. Okay, so successful done fee payment stimuli, and then confirmation email will be sent. Okay, non-log user click view class schedule button, and then the prompt user to login page response. I think all of this can, of course lah, because this is suggested answer, then it can be accepted. And then Noel answer also can be accepted because it is all the relevant activity that can happen in designing online management system for online management system for tutoring lah. Okay, so Elvin answer this scan stimuli user click registration button response start register process. And then stimuli user click payment button. I think your stimuli can be accepted, but your response is too general lah. What is actually the happen right after the stimuli is clicked? So you cannot just say that the register process is starting. You just need to make it a little bit specific lah. For example, if you click the register button, display register page, maybe you can say that the data will be saved into database, because that is that can be, we can expect it to happen lah, right? When you click the register button, the data will be sent to database. But here the suggested answer, I think view attendance. So here payment, display register page. Can I think the display register page okay lah. Although it is the second step after you send it to the database, and then it usually will display again whatever information you entered, right? So I think still can be accepted lah, display register page. For you, if you click the payment button, you cannot, I think if you say the register button process start and then the start payment process start, it is too general lah. So please try to think the response that is a little bit specific. Okay, so because we don't know what is the process, how to start the payment process, and then how to start the register process. Okay, Alvin. Okay, so we proceed to Russell for questions number 8. I know Russell is someone that a student that is what good in searching. So that's why I asked Russell actually about this, because our CC didn't provide us the detailed explanation of each of the components. So I asked Noel, sorry, Russell. Okay, so yes, Russell, can you please explain each of the component? Yeah, soya real noise. Soya? What is soya? Making soya real noise. Oh, soya milk. Oh, okay lah. So I will read lah. So no, Russell, where did you get this answer? Can you please share the links? Share the links, or yeah, can you please share where you get this answer, because I want to see lah either apa. Okay. So because in our slide actually there are not really details about what each of these component can do, so that's why I ask all of you do the searching lah. Okay, so but I ask Russell to present, because Russell is very good in searching. Okay, so scheduler, based on Russell research, scheduler will have the responsibility to determine the order of execution of tasks, which is usually based on the priority. So anybody student here, if you haven't searched the task for this component, you can copy, or you can copy this answer lah from Russell. Okay, so SMP, but SMP, symmetric multiprocessing. Okay, so when I am also doing some searching. So each of the RTOS actually, it doesn't really have, I mean, different OS for real time. Some of it maybe have different component. Okay, so not all of the RTOS have the similar component to each other. It is based on actually the task or the system that it will serve. So maybe Russell have find the the component for another RTOS, but in our slide they are not SMP. They are not SMP, right? Okay, so we don't know what is the SMP here, but I have read that there are some in another model of RTOS. There are some there are RTOS that have this component, which is SMP. Okay, so I will not read this. And then after that, function library. Okay, so this our version of RTOS also don't have function library, but memory management, I think it is similar with the resource manager lah. So this resource manager or the memory management, it will allocate memory to every program. Okay, so after that, full fast dispatch latency. So it is dispatcher. So dispatcher will have the task uh, to identify the tasks. Okay, so and in the interval between the determination of the task that can be identified by the OS and the actual time taken by the thread, which is in the ready queue that has started processing. Okay, so which means this dispatcher can able to identify the task that is ready to be processed lah, from my understanding. So you all can try to read and then try to understand lah. But what I understand is this dispatch is the place that can that listing out the tasks that already ready to go to the execution process. So it is the place where all of the task is queued, all of the ready task is queued before it is go to the execution. Okay, so that is my understanding lah. Okay, so after that, user defined data object and clusters. Okay, so we don't have that kind of component in our version of RTOS, but I can give you all the. This is only the three lah, the three explanation of the RTOS based on our version RTOS of our version nah. Because I can see, like I said just now, every RTOS it may have the common component like the scheduler, like the resource manager, like the interrupt handler, but and dispatcher. I can think of that is the common component for RTOS, but not all. Some of the RTOS maybe they have another component that is specific to the task um, that will serve the system. Okay, so this is the suggested answer for the three, and then for the other three, for the resource manager and dispatcher, I think for the resource manager, in this case, memory management lah. So one of the tasks that it can do is for the resource manager is like I will take some of the answer from Russell, which is allocates memory to every program. Dispatcher is this one. It is where the place where all of the ready tasks queuing for to be executed. Okay, so my summary for this lah. And then the diagram of RTOS, I am also not very sure about this. But later, when I have found the task or the responsible of this component, I will tell you all lah. Okay, so this is the task for each of the component, the suggested answer lah. If you have found a better version of this, you all can share. Okay, so we share it together. We learn it together. Oh, dispatcher and the scheduler. Oh, okay. So thank you, Elvin. I will read that later. Okay, so Russell, please don't label me like that. No, it is actually a compliment, Russell. You are very good. You are a very good researcher. I think you can become a researcher later if you are interested, like if you have the patience. Because to be a researcher, you actually, you know what, to be a good researcher of Google, you have to combine a lot of information from every resources that you read, and then you do summary for it. Yeah. So because I have once to be a master student previously, so actually uh, it is not a simple task for you to read all of the information from the journal, from the paper, because you know what, all of that journal, all of that paper, the expertise working a few years just to produce that journal, and then sometimes you just need to read that only about a few weeks, and then you really need to understand it. So imagine the works that people do for years, you need to understand only about maybe few days, few weeks. So you really need to have a better um I mean, you really need to have the skills to extract the relevant information. Because sometimes as a someone that who read a lot of journal and research previously, sometimes I have the it is like macam penyakit already lah, where I don't know actually what I read. Orang bilang keracunan journal, because you don't know which journal you have read, and then you don't know because your mind is too tired, and then you don't know, uh, even though you have read a lot, but there are nothing coming in. I mean that there are nothing remaining in your mind. Okay, so because of, I think Russell is someone that can extract the informations. If you have read a lot of article, and then you can combine them together and then do the summary. It is actually a good skill. Okay, so don't be demotivated, Russell. It is a compliment. Okay, so yeah, so it is already 10:24. So I think we need to rest about 5 minutes or 6 minutes. So we meet again at 10:30 lah, huh? Guys and girls. Celine is here. Okay. Okay, so we continue again, guys and girls. Okay, so the summary from the previous tutorial, as you all can see from the suggested answer and from our discussions, that when you answering the stimuli and the response, don't really um, depending on the what the words in that scenario. Okay, so just focus on the product of that scenario. For example, just now about the question 1 until 3, where it is actually giving the scenario from different perfect perspective, but actually the suggested answer is based on what the product of that scenario can do. Okay, so just when you are answering the stimuli and response punya questions, you just imagine the product. What are the product of that scenario can do, so that you can imagine what you can what are the stimuli and response lah, based on imagining what the product can do. Like for example, just now the robotic, the online movie, theater, and then etc. lah. Okay, so that is the conclusion because I think that type of questions memang popular lah in the exam. Okay, so previously we have learned about software evolution, and then that time we have stopped in the type of software maintenance, where we already learn about in this chapter we already learn about the process of um,
I miss audio.
sorry guys, okay, so I will repeat again the summary of our tutorial just now. Okay, so the summary from our discussion just now, like I said previously, so don't really rely on the words inside that test case. Instead, you all need to focus on the product of that test case or of that scenario. Okay, so that you can imagine what that product of that scenario can do, and then you can imagine what are the trigger or the stimuli that that product can receive and what it can respond back. Okay, so that is the first summary that we can conclude from our tutorial just now. It is, I think, important lah. Okay, so you can refer to the question, either it requests for the time constraint. If no, then you don't need to put the time constraint. Okay. Okay, so we proceed to our we continue the software evolution. So previously we have covered about the software evolution process, where actually this is the process of this. Okay, so when the software evolution process is the process when you get some requests for amending the ready developed software. Okay, so usually we will go through this process lah, to process the new request to amend that ready developed software. Okay, so these are the process. We have covered this previously. And then after that, we have covered the three types of the maintenance, which is the corrective maintenance, and then the adaptive maintenance, and then lastly, the perfective maintenance. So now we proceed to the factor that will affect the maintenance cost. Okay, so because to do the maintenance, we will need a cost. So what are the factor that will affect the maintenance cost? The effect here is either the maintenance cost is high or lower. Either the maintenance cost will be increase or decrease. Okay, so that is the effect to the maintenance cost. Okay, so first, the first factor that can affect either the maintenance cost is high or low, latter is the module independence. So the module independence we have learned in the design chapter previously, where you all can if you all remember about the cohesion and then the coupling. Okay, so when you do the design, you need to make sure that your system has a high level of cohesion, and then after that, low level of coupling. Low level of coupling meaning to say that each of the module is independent to each other. So during the design phase, you already design your system to have a low low high level of coupling, then you can sure that during the maintenance later, the cost to do the maintenance will be decreased. Because you know what? You don't need a lot of time just to amend one module, because the module is already have it is the module is already independence from other modules. So if you change one module, you don't need to change another module. So it makes the time for you to do the maintenance to amend the system will be shorter. And then it makes the maintenance cost decrease. Okay, understand about this? Okay, so your maintenance cost will be also depending on the design. Okay, so on the design when you first develop that system. So that's why it is really important for you all to design a software that is having low level of coupling, meaning you need to make sure each of the module is independent from each other. Okay, so when you amend or when you amend that module in a shorter time, so you just need to pay your maintainer a small amount lah. Okay, so that means the cost to do the maintenance can be lower. Okay, so if it is high independency meaning each of your modules memang independent from each other. It is not depending to each other. So it will cost a low cost lah. Okay, so after that, the maintenance cost also depending on the programming language. Okay, so the programming language is either you are using high level of programming language or a low level of programming language. So usually the newest programming language will be from higher level of programming language. Okay, so I think Calvin, Farah, and Noel already know what is the low level programming language, right? You know the example of the low level programming language, right? Do you still remember? How do you think? How do you find the low level programming language? The assembly language. Is it hard or which is harder? The low level or the high level programming language? Okay, so for those who don't know, the high level programming language is like your C++, your Java. It is closer to human understanding. But for the low level programming language, the example is the assembly language, which is actually the language is used is closer to machine readable. Ah, yes. Okay, so when you are using the newest version of programming language, and then like I said just now, the newest usually will be very high level. Okay, so all of the newest programming language like Python, like Kotlin, it is all derived from another high level language like Java. So the higher the level of that language, the easier or the closer it to the human understanding. So it will be easier. Compare with the old version of programming language, which is actually more to the machine readable. Okay, so assembly language is a pen, right? Okay, so you know that the high level programming language, if you use it, so it will decrease or lower the maintenance cost because you don't need a lot of time to understand and to do the code. Okay, understand, right? So high level programming language will make the maintenance cost decrease. Okay, remember, because in our slide here, you all know, right? There are no determination either the maintenance cost is higher or lower. So I will say that high level programming language will produce or will resulting in lower maintenance costs. Okay, so other than that, programming style also can affect the maintenance cost. So if you all can see here, it is all starting from the stages of developing the code. So it is very important that you make sure during the implementation, during the design, even during the identifying of the requirement of the system, you need to really pay attention to each of the stages because it will affect the maintenance cost later. Okay, so the programming style during the implementation or the coding phase, you really need to implement a very good programming style punya style lah. For example, what are the style that you think that can help to make the maintenance phase later will be easier? What are the programming style? Maybe you or some of you can give some idea. Pro comments, yes, Kelvin, good. Okay, so during the programming or in during the coding, you should give comment. For example, for each of the function, what is the purpose of each of the function? It is to make sure that the future maintenance process will be easier. So when there are any amendment to that functions, and then that maintainer don't know what is the purpose of that system, so it will takes a lot of time for him or her to understand the process of the coding. So maybe he will need to do the white box testing where it will check the line of code one by one to see the flow of the system. So if there are a comment, he or she doesn't need to go through that process. So the shorter time will be needed. Okay. So beside the comments, the indentations also important, even though it is just for the looks of the coding. But if you set the indentation of your code, for example, the if else, inside the if else, the inside if else you indent it a little bit pergi dalam, and then it will be easier to be read, so that people will don't need to the programmer or the maintainer later don't need to check one by one the process or the flow of the code, just because just by reading your code with the proper indentation they can understand the code already. Okay, so it will makes the maintainer time maintainer process shorter, and then it will makes the maintenance cost lower. Okay, so good structure will produce the low cost. Good structure is like the indentations and the comment, all of that lah. Okay, so the program validation and testing. So the during the testing and validation process also, it is very important because the longer time you use to validate and testing your system, the more error you can found during the testing and validation phase before you enter the maintenance cost, the maintenance phase. Okay, so when you have found a lot of error during the testing phase, in the maintenance phase for sure the error or the bugs will be smaller. The number of the bugs and error that is found during the maintenance phase will be smaller. Thus, it can lower the maintenance costs because we don't need a lot of time to do the fixing or the correction. Okay, so here more time spent during the testing will cause the number of error will be lower, or the number of the bugs will be lower, and then thus it will make the maintenance cost lower. Okay, so after that, the documentation quality also very important. Okay, so a good quality of document will produce good understanding of the flow or of the feature of the whole system. Even though the maintainer is a new staff, she or he don't even involve during the development, but because the development during the development time, uh, all of the team have produced a very good documentations. For example, it is from the SRS to SDD to the test plan. All of the informations are related to each other. There are no missing requirement, and then all of the requirement are tested in the test plan. There are no inconsistency. Then your documentation is very good, have a very good quality lah. There are no ambiguous words, and then it is more easy to understand, so it can make the maintenance cost will be lower because shorter time needed to understand the system, and then the maintainer can fix or amend the system faster, so the cost of the maintenance can be lower. Okay, so another factor that can affect the maintenance costs also rely on the configurations management technique. So this configuration management technique is the process of you keep track of all of the version of your document. So remember, we have learned about the configurations management in our chapter design, if I'm not mistaken, previous in our previous chapter, where we keep, or how we can keep track of each of the version. In, for example, in this version, we know that what are the items or component that is have changed, and then for the second version, we know that we have the record of all of that changes, and then what version that changes, what type of the version, what version of the software that the changes take place. Okay, so if we have an effective technique, and then that makes that all of the changes in our system with its version is recorded properly, then um, the maintenance cost can be lower because all of that changes is recorded properly, and then the maintainer will know which version of system they will need to refer to if there are any requests related to that version. So imagine that if you didn't keep track all of that changes and the version of the system, and then the maintainer will have the headache later when they are looking back to your system, and then they don't have any idea which version that amend what module or what part in the system, so they will need to check one by one. So without a very effective technique of configurations management, it will there will it will need a lot of time. So the effective technique of your configuration management, where you can keep track all of the version and what are the part that is amended in each of the version, it can faster the maintenance process. Thus, it can lower the maintenance cost. And then after that, the application domain also can affect the maintenance cost. What is the meaning of the applications domain? For example, if you are developing a new, if your system is a new type of system, and then that system is you never done previously. Okay, so the maintainer never maintained that kind of system previously. For example, if previously the maintainer is familiar with only web app applications, but tiba-tiba for the new project he needs to maintain a mobile application. So there are a difference in the domain already. Okay, so if it is the new application domain, so the maintainer will have less understanding. It will cause the maintenance cost will be higher because the maintainer will have a lot of time, will need to spend a lot of time in understanding the new application domain. Okay, so but if the maintainer are already familiar with that domain, then the maintenance process will be easier and shorter lah. So thus the maintenance cost can be lower. And then after that, the staff stability also can affect the maintenance cost. So how? Okay, so for example, if you assign the new staff to be the maintainer, so the cost will be higher because the timing that is needed by the new staff because he is not familiar with the system that he is going to maintain. So he will need time to understand the system. He will need to dig all of the documentation. If the documentation is not there, and then he will need to dig into the code. Okay, so it will cost, the maintenance cost will be higher. Okay, so when you assign the same staff to be the maintainer, then the cost will be lower because whenever there are new requests from the client or there are new amendment to the system, without even looking at the documentation, the same staff can already know which module or which line of code he needs to amend. Okay, so the timing for the maintenance will be shorter, thus the maintenance cost will be shorter, decrease lah. Okay, the maintenance cost will be decreased. Okay, so the age of the program also can affect the maintenance cost. Okay, so because the older system will use maybe a very old software engineering technique. Okay, so they are, maybe it is developed using for example, nowadays we know that about MVC, right? So most of the system usually will follow some framework or modern framework like MVC, like there are a lot of new framework lah, which is actually a ready code. People will only just use the framework, and then we just need to add few codes, or we just need to amend, and then we can already produce a system. But for the old program, before the MVC coming out, actually there are uh, the old way of programming is structured coding, meaning there are no, it is not like the object oriented. There are no obvious obvious separation between object and then the function and then the view of the code. All of the code usually will be mixed either in one project or in one function to another function. So there are no specific way of differentiating which is object, which function is doing the manipulating of the data, which code that will need to only responsible for interface, because the old way of programming sometimes it is just based on the programmer punya creativity sendiri. So there are no standard way. It is what we call the unstructured way of coding. So usually for the old system, when it is first developed by that way of development, it will be headache if the millionaire like you all open the code, use the system, and then you try to understand the flaw of the system. Because the flaw of the system is based on the previous programmer punya creativity. There are no standard. So it will be very headache to you, if especially if there are no good documentation on it. Okay, so the age of the program, if it is older, then the maintenance it receive will make the maintenance cost higher, because the millennia, like you all, will not have usually will not have that kind of skill to maintain the older way of software engineering punya. So you don't know how to maintain it, and then thus it makes the time for the maintenance will be longer, and then the maintenance cost will be higher. Okay. Okay, so the dependence of the program on its external environment. Okay, so the previous ni kan, I remember last time, when I just joined my previous company, I was assigned to do the maintenance for a JKR Sabah. JKR Sabah, there are various department, and then what I maintained last time was the Chirun of the Department of Chirun. Okay, I forgot what is the Chirun, but in English, but it is the JKR punya Chirun. And then they will what they want to add is actually just a delete button for some of the records lah. And then that button cost me or give me, I mean, I took about 1 week just to come out with the delete button and delete functions, because the structure of the code is already old way. It is not following any modern framework. And then different programmer have different style. And then there are various programmer already amended that system. Okay, so it is really headache lah to do, just to add that delete button. Okay. Okay, so after that, another factor that can affect the maintenance cost is the dependence of the program on its external environment. If your system is very dependent on external environment, meaning it has high dependence on the environment changes, so it will make the maintenance cost will be higher, because whenever there are changes in the outside external environment, you also need to change your system. So the maintenance process will be frequent, because it is depending on the external environment. So that makes the maintenance cost higher. Okay, so after that, the hardware stability. So the hardware, if the hardware that is related to your software will need to be changed frequently, so it can make the maintenance cost higher. But if the hardware no need to change, then the cost for the maintenance will be cheaper lah. Okay, so because we don't need to change the hardware. Because if we need to change the hardware, we will need to pay more for the hardware. Okay, so if we didn't change that hardware, we don't need to pay more lah for the hardware, right? Okay, so that the maintenance cost will be lower lah if the hardware is not changed frequently. Okay, so this is the before that. So far so good for all of the factor that affecting the maintenance cost. Can I have a raised hand, please? Uh, so how about Shak? Shak and Elvin? Are you okay with all of the factor that affecting the maintenance cost? Elvin? How about Elvin? Okay, so Elvin is not here. Maybe. Okay, so this is the last questions for you all. Okay, so the cost of adding functionality to a system after it has been put into operations. Sorry, I have not shared my screen. Okay, um, so this is the question for you all. Okay, so the cost of adding functionality to a system after it has been put into operations, meaning after it is used by the real client, you already put that functions or that system to the client punya server lah. Okay, so are usually much greater than providing similar functionality when software is originally developed. So why? Can anybody give your idea? So why the cost to maintain the system is higher after it is being put into operations rather than when it is during the development? No? Okay. Because the duration of maintenance is longer than the development period. Yeah, can be accepted because the longer the development period, the longer there are a lot of amendment can be requested, right? Okay, so and then when the time of the because the maintenance time will is longer, and then there will be a new technology, new hardware that will be introduced, and then thus it give the idea to our client to amend the system based on that the new technology or the new hardware. So yes, it can lead to the more requests. So the more requests of amendment of the system, it will take a time to amend the system that is already finished or completed, because you need to dig one by one each of the design, each of the implementation, the coding, and then you already need to repeat again the testing. Okay, right, Jonathan? Is that what you mean actually? Ah, okay, so other than that, can anybody give your idea why? Some of it actually, the reason of it we already discussed in the factor of maintenance cost itulah. Okay, so actually you all can relate it back to the factor that affect the maintenance cost. Never ending process. Usually there will be for a maintenance period, even though it is longer than the development, but they are actually a full stop to it. They are also a full stop to it. For example, usually if the previous my experience lah, the duration to develop the system is 2 years. The system that I have maintained previously lah. The duration to develop that system is only 2 years, but the maintenance time it take 7 years. Okay, but after the 7 years, memang we don't need it is not compulsory for us to support if there are any error or there are any requests from the user already. We can put a full stop to that system already after the maintenance period based on the contract. But usually, as a very good software development company, and then we want to macam jaga hati our clients so that if they are next time they will have another project, because of we are really willing to help even though it is already over the maintenance period, and that we still willing to help. So they are also senang hati with the company, and then they will ask you again. Okay, so because of that mentality, usually even though it is not compulsory for the software development to give the support after the maintenance period, still we will entertain the new request or smaller if minor amendment lah. Okay, so yes, Kelvin, it is to test. You need to test again, yeah. Because if you need to test again, you will need to hire new tester again. Okay, so yes, it also can affect the maintenance cost. Yeah, I thought of that like Google, Facebook, longevity. Yes, yes. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so your answer also, if yes, for Google and Facebook, sometimes they also will give the support lah. If no, at least they will give you the FAQ punya bank. Okay, so you can refer back to the FAQ to check or to find any solution from the previous history lah. Okay, so because it is already 11:07. Okay, so the maintenance cost, like whatever we have already discussed in the factor that affect the maintenance cost. So the maintenance cost after it is used by the client will be higher, because the old program, especially when you are using new maintainer, it is using old engineering technique. Like I said just now, it is unstructured. It's very hard. It is no framework, no modern framework that can explain the process inside the code, how it is become like that, because it is based on the creativity of your previous programmer. So it is very unstructured, and then it is difficult to be understand. Okay, so maintenance costs, when there are new changes, sometimes it can introduce new fault, because if you are inexperienced to fix some of the bugs, and then you think you already fixed that bugs, but actually when you fix that, it introduce new fault or new bugs to another module, because you don't know that actually it is related to each other. So further change requests will be requested by the client when they found that the newer introduced fault. So the change request will be never ending lah, like what Ian said. Okay, so when you change the ready developed system, it will degrade the structure of the system. If previously it is already nicely designed by the previous designer, okay, so it is nicely designed. It is having low coupling, low level of coupling, but after there are some changes by new programmer or new designer without them understanding correctly the design previously, it will makes the structure degrade, and then it is become harder to understand because yeah, it is not following the correct structure, so it will have a less cohesive. It causes the system or the code or each of the module less cohesive to each other. Okay, so change documentation. When you do the changes, documentation link will be missing. Okay, because maybe the new programmer there we didn't update the document. Okay, so because if you actually need to change, you need to have a very good configurations management, right? Like we said just now. Okay, so if you don't have or you didn't follow the process of changing configurations correctly, and then whenever there are changes, you don't update each of the required documentation from the SRS, SDD, test plan, test case, all of that you didn't update. So it makes the documents, all of the previous document is unreliable. So when it is used by another programmer, it is no longer can help to make the to understand the system. Okay, so we stop at that. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, guys, do you have any questions? No, no. Okay, so thank you for your time, even though today is public holiday. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your attentions. Okay, so we can dismiss our class now. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.